Hi. I didn't see you there. Today, my fellow swordlings, we're going to analyze and dissect a game which many people consider their favorite. Hi, I'm Sephirothsword57, and this is Zelda. The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. My first introduction to the Zelda franchise was through the 1989 anime, The Legend of Zelda. I can't believe that anyone would want to play a video game with such an annoying main character.
Excuse me, princess.
His personality is dumb and he looks like a freaking leprechaun. After doing some research on the internet, I found out that the best Zelda game ever made is Ocarina of Time. So, let's start playing the game. Whoa! Whose idea was it to make 3 handles on the controller? What were they thinking? How am I supposed to use this middle part here? Am I supposed to use it with my mouth? What up, homie? Oh, howdy, Shadow. I'm just about to review a Zelda game.
Don't be a fool, Sephirothsword57. Everyone knows that's a shit game, yo.
I know, Shadow, but I'm going to make a review that is not based on nostalgia or fanboyism. Honest and objective. Wow, just look at this amazing Nintendo 64 logo. And what's the point of this intro? It doesn't tell you at all what the game is about. Okay, so I get to name the save file. So, yeah, of course I'm gonna name it Seph. Okay, so here we have a really boring opening cutscene. Just look at this. It's too long, there's no voice acting, and it's boring. And the text is so slow, and I can't even skip through it. I have to sit through this garbage and wait, when I just want to start playing the game. The controls are very stiff, and controlling the character feels awful. And look at these ugly 3D models. As soon as I finally start playing, I have to do a bunch of chores to continue the game. I have to find a hidden sword and collect 40 gems to buy a shield from the shop. In Strider for the Sega Mega Drive, you don't have to find a sword to start playing. You get it from the beginning. Much better game design. Why couldn't you just start with the equipment and just move on? The sword is really close by, so what's the point? Seph? Why did they name the character after the file name? His name is Link. I watched the show, so I know what his name is. This is really baka. So my objective right now is to save a tree from dying. And to do that, I have to enter his mouth for some reason. Gross. And now we enter the combat. And it plays exactly like Dark Souls. You have a lock-on system, a sword, a shield, and it's very slow. Apparently lock-on was a new system for its time, but it's still garbage. Controlling the camera is a mess. You can only use the C button to center the camera behind you. And this fairy called Navi always tells me what to do. This is really annoying. You just have to wait from just opening a chest. There's so much waiting in this game. There is no jump button in the game. I tried every button and there's not a single one that lets me jump. Well, apparently they thought it was a good decision to just run towards the ledge and automatically jump. Horrible decision. Every game should have a jump button. Now, I find a slingshot. What is this? A game for small children? So now I have to use the slingshot to shoot this ladder over here. But the fairy already revealed the puzzle for me. Like I said, children's game. After solving a bunch of puzzles with obvious solutions, there is a boss. And guess what? It's terrible. The boss is an obvious puzzle in itself. I just have to use the slingshot and then hit it with my sword. Easy and boring.
Is this our menacing antagonist? He looks dumb, and later I find out that his name is Ganondorf. What kind of silly name is that? They might as well call him Ganondork for all I care. Okay, so the tree dies despite my efforts? Well, that was a waste of time. Now I get this ocarina, which comes to no surprise, since they spoiled that in the title of the game. You use it for different puzzles throughout the game, and now we get to explore this uninspired empty world map. Judging by its design, they tried to do something similar to Final Fantasy IX, except that Final Fantasy IX actually did a good job. On the field we get to fight these stupid helicopter enemies, which you defeat by hitting their dangling ballsack. Here we get to enter our first town, and I've actually figured out what kind of people like this game. Pot addicts. I buy a new shield, and I make my way up to the castle, where I have to do some dumb puzzle involving a chicken. Link gets to do some bad sneaking minigame.
Who does he think he is? Solid Snake?
So this is the beautiful Princess Zelda that the game is named after. But she looks super ugly. I want my female characters to look fashionable and stylish in video games. This just looks like an underage grandma. Okay, so after a long boring conversation, she gives me a letter, and then I learn a song from this woman, who later escorts me out the castle. Now here is something that actually pisses me off. This woman tells me to go to the mountain, but the fairy tells me I should go speak with some girl in the forest. So basically, the game is lying to me. Whose idea was it to put this lie in here? All it does is make the player confused, which is the last thing you would want to do as a game maker. Speaking of the fairy, she is the most annoying thing so far in the game. During my time playing, she stopped me way too many times just to tell me meaningless or obvious stuff.
Hey! Listen! Listen! Hey!
So I decided to go to the forest first. I have to go through this area called Lost Woods. To traverse this area, you have to listen to where the music is coming from. Another obvious puzzle with zero imagination. I found some slingshot upgrade, which was also an obvious puzzle. Is this game going to be this baka the whole way through? Now, we get to the end of the woods and learn a song from this girl. And I guess that's it. I was super confused if I was done with the area or not. So after wasting hours to see if there were something else to do, I decided that I should just move on to the mountain instead. So I had to go all the way back to the castle and use the letter I got. And I finally feel like I'm making progress. On the way up the mountain, I meet these weird rock people, and one of them came rolling down towards me, and I couldn't get out of the way.
Another thing that proves that a game is badly designed is when you can't avoid taking damage, no matter how hard you try. Absolutely baka.
So you enter the city and play a song for their leader, and wow. I guess Nintendo thought this scene was funny or something, but all it did was making me dislike the game even worse. I guess this is expected of a children's game. Anyway, I get some kind of bracelet from the guy, which lets me enter this dungeon the rock people had some kind of problem with. And here we go again. Another area with obvious puzzles and easy enemies. I think I get what this game's gimmick is. You enter these dungeons that always has a map and a compass in it. Wow, talk about immersion breaking. Who put this map here? And why are there items placed in chests to begin with? Anyway, you also get an item for your inventory, which you also use to defeat the boss in some way. This is extremely dissatisfying. Instead of feeling accomplished for figuring out how to defeat the boss, you instead feel like, oh, I was right even before the fight even started. So now my goal is to visit a fairy on top of the mountain. And oh my god! I call up the girl from the woods, Saria, to see where I have to go next. And I'm supposed to meet someone called the Sora King or whatever. But it's so cryptic that it's impossible to know where that place is. Why doesn't the game just tell me where to go?
If I didn't have to make a review of this game, I would have given up on it long ago. I mean, there has to be something positive to say. I mean, it's considered one of the best games ever made, according to some people, so there has to be something.
So I finally find the place where the Sora King is, but I have to play a stupid minigame and then find a bottle at the bottom of the lake. I don't get why this is part of the main quest. This totally feels like a side quest. So apparently this ugly king's ugly daughter is stuck inside a huge fish. But I can't do anything with the big fish. Well, guess what? I have to get a small fish in a bottle and then drop it in front of the big fish. How was I supposed to figure that out? So the next boss area is inside the fish. Okay, so far we have been inside a tree, which was pretty standard, and inside a cave, which was pretty boring.
So if I had to force myself to say something positive about this game, I guess that having a boss area inside of a fish is a interesting concept. But it's freaking gross!
It's disgusting, boring, and easy, and it's also an escort mission. I find the item, kill the easy boss, and get the last of the 3 items that I needed, and it's time to visit Princess Zelda again. There is a cutscene here, and this part is insanely stupid. This cutscene is exactly the same as the opening scene you saw the first time you started the game. Who thought this was a good idea? They completely spoiled this part for everyone playing the game. I guess it's a little different, since you get to talk to Ganondorf over here. I pick up the item that Zelda threw away, which is the Ocarina of Time. Hey, like the title of the game. I go to the Temple of Time and play a new song I learned, and then I pick up a new sword. Now there is this cutscene, which shows that Link is now an adult, and that 7 years has passed. The world is now in ruins, and Ganondorf has taken over the land.
At this moment I thought, wow, maybe this is the part where the game actually becomes good. Maybe the first hours or so were the worst part of the game.
And no, it's still the same boring game. I found some grappling hook device in the graveyard, and then the game tells me to go back to the forest.
And that is where I stopped playing the game.
When a game reuses an area 3 times, it just shows you how lazy these so-called game designers are. This is where I draw the line. I played this garbage of a game enough to give my final thoughts. I'm probably very close to the end anyways.
Well, Ocarina of Time is an extremely overrated game. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody. And I would...
Excuse me, Sephirothsword57.
Link?
I'm gonna defeat you.
I've defeated stronger foes than you. But I guess I can take this opportunity to try out my new Blitz move. Whoa!
You're a fool, Sephirothsword57. No physical attacks can penetrate this energy shield. With the Song of Time, I'm gonna trap your brain in a time warp, making you stupid like a small child. Take this! Haha, Nintendo will be pleased now that Sephirothsword57 is defeated. Looks like this is the final episode of Sephirothsword57. How is this possible? Your brain should be that of a fetus. You shouldn't be able to stand.
That was a very impressive jutsu, Link. But I also have some tricks up my sleeve.
You see, just as you started to play the Song of Time, I grabbed 2 pencils that I stored in my back pocket the whole time. The pencils I used to write this review. Just as the sound of your ocarina touched my eardrum, I immediately knew what to do. I had to destroy my eardrums in order to block your attack.
Unfortunately, I'm completely deaf now. But your attacks won't hurt me anymore.
Your attacks can't hurt me either, Sephirothsword57.
That's where you're wrong.
Huh?
Are you familiar with Ludwig von Beethoven, Link?
He was a famous German composer during the late 1700s and lived through the early 1800s. He wrote some of the most famous and timeless musical pieces ever made. Many of his most admired works came from the last 15 years of his life.
And during those years, he was completely deaf. You've already proven that sound can penetrate your barrier, and I'm a pretty good musician myself. So have a taste of your own medicine.
No, no. Yo, what was the sound just now?
Nothing, Shadow. Just another normal day for an honest reviewer. By the way, Shadow, you've been acting very strange lately.
What you talking about? Is it 'cause I'm black? Thank you for watching. If you like this video, you can push the subscribe button down there and become a swordling. If you want, you can click the annotation to the left. That was my last video. Also, make sure to follow Dave on Twitter. You can find it in the description. He will make channel updates there once in a while. Again, thank you for watching. Have a good night, evening, morning or day. Bye!